What's good, everybody? Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are preparing physically, mentally, and spiritually for the dark times that are ahead of us. And hope you guys are getting right with God and staying strong. Got some more important information to share with you guys today. And do you really think it's a coincidence that more and more of this is continuing to happen as time goes on, while we literally just got out of a year that was actually very big for cyber attacks? And for those of you guys who have been paying very close attention to these things, you should know that 2021 was definitely a big year for cyber attacks. We had that Colonial Pipeline situation, the JBS situation that took place with the meat processing giant, and many other different types of events that happened that relates to this that I just don't remember off the top of my head. But those were two very big ones that happened last year. And of course it happened months after the World Economic Forum was hinting at an internet outage scenario, right? Somewhere in January of 2020, they made a video about that, right? You can look that up too and you'll find it. But I'm going to get into this article right now, and it says Attorney General urges businesses to prepare against cyber attacks. Action comes after attack that disabled school websites across the country. And you guys remember what the World Economic Forum also hinted about recently. They've been talking about this whole thing since 2020 right here. But anyways, I'm going to continue on with the article, and it goes on to say, as you can see, this came out today, though, January 10th, 2022, and it goes on to say, Attorney General William Tong urged businesses to take action in order to prepare against cyber attacks in the wake of an attack that disabled thousands of school websites last week. Thousands, it says. Tong's warnings comes after the final site ransomware attack that impacted thousands of school websites and communications systems nationwide and in Connecticut, including Manchester Community College. Then it goes on to say the Attorney General urged businesses and government entities to assess their data security practices to protect operations against growing cybersecurity threats. The Attorney General's office announced a new online form designed to help businesses notify the state officials when they experience a data breach impacting Connecticut residents, as they are obligated to. In the months since Joe Biden warned Russian leader Putin to crack down on ransomware gangs in his country, there hasn't been a massive attack like the one that took place in May 2020. It says May 2022, but I think they referred to 2021. They're really referring to 2021. That could have been a typo error right there. Most likely it was, because May 2022 hasn't even came across just yet. That resulted in gasoline shortages across the country. Yeah, they're referring to the Colonial Pipeline situation. That was last year in 2021. And you guys remember all the panic buying of gas that took place just within days of that situation happening, right? Just imagine what it's going to be like when they really, really flip the switch with these types of events. And when they cause this type of scenario, which they've been warning about and foreshadowing for months now, right? Although they recently came out warning about this on a Twitter video about people's bank accounts becoming frozen, they've been doing a lot of foreshadowing on pretty much a collapse of the system through this type of scenario right here. But you never know, folks. You never know when they're going to flip the switch. You never know the next big thing that's going to come out next, because they have so many different things that they can choose from. You never know what the big excuse is going to be next. But we do know that they have many different things planned, and they're not going to stop at anything until they get their way. But then it goes on to say, but the problem hasn't evaporated, with hackers conducting a barrage of lower profile episodes that have upended the businesses, government, schools, and hospitals that were hit. U.S. officials have recaptured some ransom payments, pretty much the same thing. cracked down on abuses of crypto, and made some arrests. According to Tong, ransomware is a form of malware designed to encrypt files on a device, rendering any files and the systems that rely on them unusable. From a gas pipeline in the south to a company that provides payroll support. And this is the one that happened recently. The cyber attack on a payroll supporting company, right? I even made a video about that recently, mentioning that. And like I said, folks, 2021 was a big year for cyber attacks. But I would imagine that in this year, 2022, it's going to be much worse than what we've experienced last year with it, right? But I'm going to get into the next article. And it says, prepare for more cyber attacks in 2022. You know it's coming, folks. They haven't even pulled off the big one with this, with the game plan relating to this just yet. They haven't even pulled off the big one just yet. And it says the cybersecurity threats to expect and what you can do about them. 2021 was a good year for cyber attacks from the criminals' point of view, it says. We knew from reports issued in March 2021 that cyber attacks in 2020 increased 69.4% compared to 2019. The U.S. Commerce Secretary in June made it clear that cyber attacks are at best here to stay and at worst, well, are going to get worse, which they're openly telling you and which we already know anyways. This year we saw water supply infrastructures. That was another one that was just reminded, or that I just remembered now that they mentioned it in this article. Hit in Florida and the San Francisco Bay Area. Technology companies like Olympus and however you say that place, Cassia, fended off assaults. Manufacturers like Global Crane, Kia Motors, Molson Coors, and JBS Foods reported cyber attacks. A massive SolarWinds hack exposed, among other things, the U.S. electric grid. And the attack on the Colonial Pipeline threatened the East Coast fuel supplies. During 2021, a cyber attack occurred every 39 seconds. Like I said, 2021 was a big year for it. The world experienced a ransomware explosion, which will likely continue its upward trajectory in 2022. I'm sure it will, says Danny Lopez, CEO of Glasswall. Attacks like Colonial Pipeline make security tangible for non-security professionals, says Marty Edwards, VP of Operational Technology at Tenable. Spikes in gas prices and lines at the pump are something that the everyday citizen, CEO, and Congress member can understand. Every board of directors is now interested in what the cyber risk is to their company. And it's like all of a sudden now they want to make it seem like this is a huge problem, right? Like, do you really think that it's a coincidence, folks, that every time they do some type of simulation, every single time they do some type of simulation, it's always months later or weeks later that some type of issue or problem happens relating to the thing that they just simulated? And I know I keep saying this, but I mean, if you're paying attention, you can see it. You know, these things are well documented. They talking about it on their own websites. They're talking about these things on their own websites. They're openly saying it because they know that most people are not going to research it. They don't really even care if you know about it at this point anyways, but they know either way that most people are too ignorant to even do their own research on these types of things. And they can't even connect the dots. Even if they were to know about something like that, they would still be in denial, even with all of this blatant evidence that it's all planned in advance. If you look at these things like Crimson Contagion, Event 201, Cyber Polygon, the Clade X exercise, which I haven't really mentioned at all in my videos, because that's something that I haven't looked into that much, but I know it was also an exercise that they did. So that's why I can't say much about it right now, since I haven't looked into it that much. But I know enough to know that it was another exercise that they ran with Clade X. But it goes on to say over the past 18 months, manufacturers have had to assess and reassess their operating models, processes, and more just to maintain productivity, says Josh Danielson at AT&T. These challenges have evolved into opportunity as these businesses are taking what they have learned and are accelerating plans to adopt emerging technologies like Internet of Things and this right here. That's right. You should know the truth about this technology, by the way. If you're aware of I'm not even going to get into it for obvious reasons. To gain visibility into their operations, improve efficiencies in their processes, and enable new revenue opportunities. However, initiatives to enhance connectivity and analytics inadvertently expand the attack surface and risk for a breach in an organization's network. So what news on the cybersecurity front are we to expect to be reading in 2022, and what are the steps manufacturers need to take in order to stay ready? We're not going to even get into all of that. That's going to make the video even longer than what it already is, but you guys know what the agenda is behind this too. But you get the point for the most part, right? But I thank you guys for watching this video. Please share the video far and wide. And just remember, folks, that they're not going to stop. They've told us what their game plan is, and they have many different things up their sleeves. And you got to remember, it's not just one thing, like this right here. Cashless society, it's not just one thing. They have, you see, their game plan, you have to understand, their game plan consists of multiple agendas.